Good morning, Mr. Gardener. This is Sue at Hometown to Homestead Gal Gardener. And we're kind of in between our seasons a little bit here. But Mr. Gardener turned over the bottom half, the 2 boards down. We had our original garden bed soil in there, and you could, when he was turning it, you could see the different layers of things we added to build the garden bed up, grass and whatnot. And now he's topping it off with some of the good stuff that he brought over from the Arizona worm farm. And the reason we're doing this is when I went to the wholesalers and bought a 100-pound bag of potatoes, we didn't go through them as quickly as I thought we would. And we've got potatoes sprouting like crazy. So what do you do when you got sprouting potatoes? You plant them. What you got there, Mr. Gardener?
This is our old soil.
Uh-huh.
See the roots are still in there. See the white? It's a fungus. That's what you want, but this is all, it's all clumped together. That's something I was not reading, but watching several gardening channels. They say when you trim your plants, whatever you're removing, whatever, trim it, leave the root balls in the soil and compost those in.
Okay, when you're harvesting your garden?
Yeah, because the roots hold
all kinds of good stuff.
lots of goodies, yeah.
Okay. We're gonna lay these potatoes out and get them in the ground, and we'll probably end up covering this up with some shade cloth because we still have a little bit of heat coming, but I think we might be able to get a potato harvest out of this. Okay, Mr. Gardener's over there digging a little bit more of this compost to top the bed off. We've got the potatoes in there, spaced a bit along 2 edges and a few in the center. Be a nice full potato bed. And he's going to top it off. That gut was a little bit too dense, so he's going to eventually add some vermiculite and other stuff to it to loosen it up. It's just too dense to plant in at this, the way it's at right now. Good compost, but a little too dense. And then I'll give you a tour of what he's been working on back here since our downed trees. It's still yucky stuff everywhere. There's the tree. And look at that. The tree is still trying to live with those little sprouts coming up out of that stump. And we're going to let it and see what happens to it. It's going to remove that chunk of cement out of there and let the tree roots do its thing. But as you can see, he still has a lot more work to do. God bless him. Our little citrus trees are doing good over there. I'm gonna watch my step, make sure I don't break my neck out here. And the apple tree is doing good, and the fig tree is doing good, and the pomegranate's doing great. You can compare the piles of branches that he had last time to just the little bit he's got laying around still. He's gonna pile up. He's been piling the wood for making logs for the fire pit for later. He's got the giant pile of wood chips, which are going to go on the ground around the garden beds. That'll help keep the weeds down and whatnot. But now I'm going to go inside and see what kind of projects I can work on inside today. It's time for me to sit and crochet and cool off a little bit before I start doing any cooking. These currently are a whole stack of fall colored placemats I'm working on. I'll show you how to do that in another video. Chucking and chucking and chucking.
Okay.
Okay, so my process for canning corn off the cob. First off, we're blanching the corn for 4.5 minutes in a pot of boiling water and then into cold water.
Oops, sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, thank you. And after I am told, from what I've read and listened to, you do that to kill off possible botulism spores, even though you're going to be canning it. Because, yeah, it was outside growing. Just cool off. I'm going to get some more into the pot the next go around. I just drop them in. Down in there. They'll float, but that's okay. Now, just getting some of that heat slowing down on it so I can handle it. Bowl. I'm going to come over to the table and cut the corn off the cob. And they say to only cut the corn 2/3 of the way down. Don't cut it all the way to the cob because it's kind of hard and dry down there, not very palatable. Take a sharp knife. Cut away. I am by no means an expert. I am simply showing you the process of what I'm doing by what I've been learning from others. Corn makes a mess, just for your information. Tried it a couple different ways and there's no getting around the mess. I know a lot of people will do it with the cob sitting on top of a tube pan, but I'm not that coordinated to hold on to all that at once. Ooh, this one's still a little hot. Watch the queen return to her castle this morning or this afternoon, praying for the family members who are missing their loved one. Whether you loved her or hated her, she was still somebody's mother and granny. Once I get all of this corn cut off the cobs, then I'm going to pack it into pint jars, like a cold pack method, and top them off with filtered water and can it away. It'll go in the canner at 11 pounds of pressure for my altitude, 11 pounds of pressure for 55 minutes, according to the National Food Home Preservation, that website. And that's what I've been pulling a lot of my info off of lately, because there's such conflicting ideas of things on the internet. And I highly suggest you do your own homework. I'm only filming these things to show you what I've been working on, not necessarily as a full-on instructional video. There was a little, that piece I don't like the looks of. I got, so out of 2 boxes, we've had several meals of eating corn on the cob. I've got so far 12 half pints of corn like this. We don't care for cream corn, so I'm not making that. and let's see, 18 frozen corn cobs, and probably 3 cups of frozen corn. So that's where we're at now. See you in a bit. Here we are back again, and this is the result of having a few cups of corn left after getting a full canner load of pint corn. And so I decided to make some corn relish. It's a new recipe. We're giving it a try. I didn't have quite the full amount of corn for the full recipe, so I adjusted down. I didn't have any green bell peppers that it called for. We just used the red instead. And the recipe is from this book, Pickles and Relishes by Andrea Chessman. We're giving it a shot and see how it is. Anyway, that's the end of my corn escapade. Finishing it off with some pretty corn relish. And until next time, this is Sue at Hometown Homestead Gal Gardener. Be safe and be happy. God bless.